I'm going to talk about today very gently about regulations that coming in with the new intelligence and how the identity will give away to capacity and how the nervous system is going to be the most important parts of your healing and that at the moment what is trending is trauma, but I think in the future what will happen is the healing will move from trauma to belonging. And so there's so many things that will happen, and what's the future health will look like, what is the future healing will be uh, looks like, and for us to understand. So healing will be most probably not to your story. It is a way for you to come back, re-enter into the life, and what would be the future wealth? Are we really being informed, or there is something beyond information? So I think the future wealth be as low dependency, like not so much going onto the stimulation of what is being advertised and what is need to be so much achieved. But if we do that without the understanding and the realization, the class will allow you to understand the consequences of it. So in the end, it's all about the stability to hold uncertainty. And uncertainty and the unknown is not our enemy. It is the way we are going to deal with day to day and without triggering our nervous system. So the whole class, if you come into a nutshell, it's all about the long arc and the gentle philosophy for the years ahead. We normally goes to about a couple of months ahead, but this is for you to have in your back of the mind, okay, the next year, this is what I'm going to be, not by force, but by this realization. So saying that, I will allow you to find a great place for you to elongate your spine and for you to sit, and you can comfortably hold the body so that you're totally in that place of being. Now, you may have to take a couple of more deep breaths to settle into that space and just very gently observing where you're holding yesterday. If you had a gathering and is there not finished path in that gathering, or you're triggered by a conversation, or you're triggered by a presence, or you're triggered by a topic. So I wanted you to come into that place that you're witnessing all of it and you're bringing that nervous system into the coherence of the present moment. So very gently, I will move the camera towards Darren. Take a couple of more deep breaths and try to elongate that space between the kidneys, the hips, the shoulder blades, the back of the neck, where the vagus nerve is, so that the regulation to the present moment is better. So when you come into that, bring the principles of the class is the long arc that is a general philosophy for the years to come. So today's class is offering a gentle, a rigorous philosophical reflection on what will matter most into the coming years, into the tables of the Christmas. Now, shoulders roll back, arms raise onto the crown, interlacing the fingers, palms facing up. Very gently bringing that palms behind the ears, but not triggering the biceps, not triggering the shoulder blades. So the shoulders are dropped. Your spine is quite elongated, spacious. Now breath out, twist the spine to the right side. So this class is not as a prediction, but as a recognition a sensing of the deeper patterns shaping that future. Future wealth, future health, future healing. Now pull the belly in and a couple of more deep breaths out. Engage the pelvic floor. So for some of you, maybe the anus lock to start with, and opening up that chest, and very gently drop the shoulders, create the space back to the center. Take a deep breath in. Arms raise onto the crown, interlacing the fingers. If you want to change the formation of the legs, it's good. Couple of more deep breaths and breath out, and twist the spine to the left side. And couple of more deep breaths on that observation. And the main point here is the regulation into the new intelligence. As we can see, the life accelerate and complexity increases. Now you understand intelligence. This is for the intelligent people. Alone will no longer be sufficient for the future. So then what is it? The ability to regulate your nervous system will quietly become the most decisive human capacity. Now back to the center. Now understand these principles of these things. Now breathe out to a cat. So the anus lock, navel lock, throat lock. Very seatedly breathing in into a cow, into a seated cow. Breath out. Breath in, deep breath, and breath out. Elongate the breath a little bit more. Breath in, the capacity to open up those space, to regulate that space. Breath out. Breathing in, come into that space of the elongation. Stretch the neck to the right. Now use the weight of the right palm, but relax the right shoulder so the neck can just gently align into the space. Back to the center, using the left and dropping onto the left. Now, what you have to really take gentle notes on these classes that the nervous system becomes the true interface with the world. Every perception, every decision, every relationship has to pass through this. Now, you can see how you react to things now, but this is not about that. Back into the center. So you're taking gentle notes while there's movement happening in the body and your movements happening in the thoughts. There's movements happening on the identification. Now take a deep breath in and very gently bring that left leg into the back, opening up the right hip. If you want to warm up a bit more, just stay there and do a couple of more stretches to warm up onto the right hip. Now take a deep breath in. Very gently arch back without tightening the spine. Breath out, drop the elbows, walk those palms into the front. Now, why is the nervous system is so important? Because in the end, you will notice that the calm person will outperform the clever person. Now, who is a clever person? The person who has been conditioned to be ahead, but doesn't mean they have a calm nervous system. That's why I say practice will outperform that cleverness in the mind and bring the body into the coherence. Got it? Now open up those fingers and see whether there is still on that stagnation reaction, in that fear, in that scarcity. Now, when you come into the practice like that, what happens? We can remain present even under pressure, will naturally become the anchor for the others. So if you see, if you see a tsunami or if you see a hurricane, you see the center doesn't have much movement. So when you are the anchor person on that Christmas table, the family, the gathering, you can see naturally others remain present with you. Take a deep breath. This is without the separation. Take a deep breath in and coming back. Language has so much limitation when you're directing into a space of a realization. Now very gently into a plank. Engage the pelvic floor. Start slouching your body too much and engage that pelvic floor. Your plank is a little bit stronger. If it is not stronger, you just gently drop the knees. Now completely drop the knees and breathe out to a cat. Breathing in into a cow. Breathe out to a cat. Breathing into a cow. Breathe out to the cat. Breathing into a cow. Now neutral spine and give a good rotation to the hips. Wider rotation for the digestion from those heavy meals. Not that they're heavy in the sense, let's say reach onto the other side. And then while we are doing this movement on both sides, we wider open the knees and stretch the spine. And almost think that I'm there holding your hips a little bit more down to the ground, to the heels. So observe that shoulder blades are opening, but also sinking towards the gravity. Palms are stretched properly, elbows are stretched properly. Now, I want this to go to the second part. The identity will give the way to the capacity. Now, what does that mean is when you have a very, very strong identity, you don't have capacity to hold others. You're reactive to the others. When you react to the others, you become a target. You become noticed as unsettled. So this practice, the second part is when we have a strong identity, we are becoming brittle under rapidly changing condition. So now imagine if you don't have the identity, you have the capacity. Then what the future will look for you. Future will reward you your adaptability, your presence, and the capacity to hold complexity. Because you are working on your nervous system, not as an identity, as a regulation, what is before the identity. Now, a lot of things works on the nature without this complexity, without the identity. Now very gently knees together, crawling and bringing the chest into the front, breathing in into an up face. Breathe out towards the down face. Get that head and neck down. Now very gently bringing the left foot into the front, into the pigeon pose. Shoulders roll back, opening up the chest. Breath out, drop the elbows and walk those palms into the front. Now, this is a great place for the identity will give the capacity, giving the way to the capacity. But this is the central inquiry shifts from who am I to what can I hold? Because a lot of you, when you talk to our conversation, you say what I like and what I don't like. How about the next Christmas you're sitting onto the tables from that space to what can I hold? How long can I hold? How well I can hold? So can you see that adaptability becomes dignity and that you will release the rigid self-images, remain that relevant, humane, and resilient. So observe. Now take a deep breath in and very gently bring that space of the body that you call the body Very gently coming back into a plank. Strong on the pelvic floor. If you can extend the body, come to a lower plank or Chaturanga Dandasana, and then you go back to a plank. Just a slight push up if you can. And then you drop the knee and come into a space of the cat. This time, left arm reaching into the front up to the ceiling after coming to a neutral spine under the armpit, very gently stretching the shoulder blade and releasing. Now we are going on to the third part of this lessons of the long arc and the gentle philosophy for the future ahead. Is healing will move from trauma to belonging, because at the moment everybody talks about trauma. It's almost it's fashionable to talk about it, but what you need to go is not stopping on the trauma or the story, but becoming to the belonging. Trauma awareness has been very essential. So it came out on the right time of the timing of the collective space. But yet, what we have forgotten is there's a deeper wound shape in the future is disconnection. Healing will increasingly focus on restoring the relational safety and shared presence, like the nervous system. Now, the nervous system, if it is not totally connected to the all parts of the body will start giving that tingle, the numbness, and then the stagnation, the fluid retain. It's the same as the other parts of our relationships. How well we are restoring our relational safety and our shared presence. That's what we are doing in the community level here now. It's very important. Those are the things actually bring your nervous system into a safety. When you have a place to go, when you have a place to move, when you have a place to bring you back into this space. I'm very gently coming back, completely breathe out, breathing in into a cow, breathing in into a neutral spine, right arm reaching up to the ceiling, under the armpit. Now you may have to clench and unclench that right fingers, because once the shoulder blades start opening up, it really needs exits on the elbows, exits on the fingers to release that trauma, from trauma to belonging. Okay, I would give you a little points to observe. The emerging illness is relational, not individual. So observe that your healing becomes a re-entry into a shared life, not endless processing. I take a deep breath in and coming back, completely breathe out to the cat. Breathing in into a cow, breath out into neutral spine. Now hip rotation, but this hip rotation, you push the bum into the front and give a wide rotation. Also, you're releasing the tension and you're getting that fluids from the throat to the armpits to the groin. All that to come gently into a movement. So there's nothing on the nervous system that is hold and stagnation, especially on the space of the lymph nodes. Water rotation to the other side. Now, very gently stretch the spine and imagine that I'm coming and holding you from the hips and pushing you a little bit down to the gravity. And maybe I'm elongating you from the head to the tailbone. Now, if all this is what you're working on this level of the capacity of the healing, what would the future wealth look like? Is it going to be on having accumulation of funds, accumulation of material safety, or the future will be defined by lower dependency, which is one thing? Why are we are able to have a lower dependency is we are no longer on stimulation. We are no longer on the space of someone validating us. And we are no longer in fragmenting systems. If you are no longer on all those things, you have to ask whether my living is something is being conditioned. How to live, how to become safe. And you have to find the purpose of yourself. So it will feel like simplicity in time of inner sufficiency. Now, the biggest wealth is in your nervous system. Because if that system is constantly triggered by not having enough, you have to find next year what are the things that you're going to put into place as a practice to observe that and break those habits. Okay? It's an inquiry. It's not like this and that as an answer. Now, knees together and very gently we are moving, crawling and bringing the chest into the front. And we will soften the hips and soften the tailbone. And we'll drop the elbows on the side and breathing into a gentle cobra. So in this gentle cobra, it's not about doing, it's about holding that openness to regulate the nervous system into the space of the cobra. And when you come into that space of the cobra, overlooking onto the right side, back into the center, overlooking onto the left side, back into the center, relax back onto the hands, onto the third eye on the floor, elbows pointing out. So if we have come into this realization, now our breath is coming into the realization, the body is coming into that space. So what's the future health will look like? So the health then from here, take it from here, will be recognized as the nervous system's coherence, the ability to rest, ability to digest, ability to relate, ability to feel without overwhelm. Now, none of this has to be regulated from the surface. So now the self-blame to the world, to the systems are no longer there. Because future health will be recognized as the nervous system's coherence and your ability to rest, your ability to digest, your ability to sleep, your ability to relate, your ability to feel without overwhelm. Next year, Christmas, that is the ability that collectively families will come into. Because you may be the center of that. And it will co-regulate the others. It's not about you are pushing it to others, but your presence will create the space for the others. Now, palms where the elbows are, breathing in into up face. Breathing out towards the down face. Now, very gently, toes pointing at each other, very gently bending the knees, toes to the heel, heel to the toes, very gently opening up, shoulders push back a little bit towards the And the tension of the neck hold in this posture is relaxed on the head. Now take a deep breath in and left leg up into the back, left knee to the chest, breathe out, come forward, stretch back, left knee to the left elbow, stretch back, left knee to the right elbow, stretch back, left foot into the front, arms stretch into the back, arms raise onto the crown. Now 6 deep cycles of breath. Now you can go to the outer parts of the foot and then bring the ball of the foot properly so that you're not constantly balancing. You're engaging the pelvic floor, but your nervous system is moving it in that co-regulation. Palms onto the space of the pranam position. Shoulders relaxed. Take a moment. Now is the part of the healing. Now very gently opening up onto the Virabhadrasana and take a mudra. So when you take the Jnana mudra, it regulates the breathing. And if you can go to the second and the third fingers, you will see it regulates something else deeper. So it's up to you to whatever the mudra that quite settle with this opening. They always regulate different things. If you're connected, you will understand. Now shoulders relax. Totally, but that stretching, looking into the left. Now, what will be the future healing will look like then? Healing will no longer be as an identity or event. It will be measured by your natural participation in life, whether it's work related, whether it's love related, whether it's rest related, whether it's relationship related, whether it's community related. Gentle arch, bend the knee, push the knee out the left knee rather than it collapsing into inside. Gently coming back, elbow onto the knee, push the knee out, not towards the right arm reaching up. Now, can you go into a Purna Trikonasana from here if you have a block? Otherwise, just opening up that space a little bit more. So it's not about totally stretching the knee, but you can slightly have the bend and keep that right arm opening more, clench and unclench, right reaching into the back, touch the floor, bending the knee, and left arm reaching up to the ceiling and stretching it back and very gently coming into a plank. Drop the knees and stretch the spine. Now in this part, you are no longer an identity or an event that has happened to you, whether it's a childhood, whether someone treated you this, that. So what will the future healing will be then? It will be measured by your natural participation in life in the present. Whether it's for work, how you conduct yourself. From the old wound or the realization. How you react into the love now is no longer from the old wound, but from the realization. The rest is not reacting from the old wound, but the presence of the now. The community, the relationship with people, is it from the old wound or the realization? A lot of things will come into the mind, and the mind might want to re-enter as the identity. No, but what they did was really wrong. That's the hook, that's the bait, that's the flavor of the chocolate. If you start licking into it, you will go back to the identity. As much as it has a flavor, because you're addicted to that story. That's why it has a flavor. The story is bitter, but for your identity, it is honey. So you keep on licking. Arms facing down, crawling and bringing the chest into the front, breathing in into an up phase. Breathe out towards the down phase. Take a deep breath in, right leg up, right knee to the right chest, breathe out. Stretch back, right knee to the right elbow. Stretch back, right knee to the left elbow. Stretch back, right foot into the front. Arms stretch into the back. Arms raise onto the ground. 6 deep cycles of breath. It has a wider rotation. It has a wider movement. It has a wider capturing. Comes onto the pranam position. Get into the space of the nervous systems and its coherence. Come into the Virabhadrasana. Take a mudra, whatever the mudra that connects to you. Now, as we know what's the coherence of the health, health will be understood as the nervous system's coherence, the ability to sleep, ability to digest, ability to feel, ability to recover without overwhelm if you're in the recovery. And also rhythm becomes the medicine. Even the medication is taken, but the coherence with the medication and this realization will come into that space of healing. Gentle arch, gently coming back, elbow onto the knee. Now gently that knee still from some of you is pushing into the center, so push it out a little bit so it will bring the balance. And very gently left arm stretch. Then you come into, if you have a block, into the Purna Trikonasana, but don't totally open the knee. Have to have a slight bend, but the muscle structure is stretched. And if you can, you overlook onto the left, otherwise it's okay. Left reaching into the back and touch the floor. Bend the knee, coming into that space of pose. And right arm reaching up to the ceiling, clench and unclench. Right into the back and touch the floor. Into a plank. Drop the knees. Now give a gentle cat cow. Now give a good rotation to the hips. Onto the opposite direction. Knees wide apart. And then stretch the spine. Now, if we go through all the things that we have worked on, the regulation as the ground, intelligence is into the coming decades, the intelligence will be measured less by speed or information, but more about the ability to remain regulated under pressure. So the practice is very important because it's the coherent nervous system restores the clarity, discernment, and human decision making. So even if the world leaders on a level will be becoming people who actually have this kind of rather than information, because the speed of information will come as much as it's coming, it can overwhelm if you don't have the right practice within yourself. So this is the gift that you can give it to your children, loved ones. So what then from the identity to capacity you will move, so that fixed identities are becoming fragile. So the more you have a fixed identity, whether it's as an ethnic group, it's as a person of color, person of this or that or that or that, it will become more fragile because it will be more, look, it's not settling with the identity. So the future will belong to those who can hold uncertainty, who can hold complexity. Communities will come into this level that change without collapsing or hardening. Because as soon as your nervous system goes on to that collapsing and hardening, there's a problem happening in your health. So you have to have that capacity through this practice to replace not certainty, but capacity. So whatever it is at that very moment. And beyond trauma, the awareness will lies deeper need reconnection. Healing will increasingly be recognized through ease in relationship, participation into life, whatever the age is, and a felt of sense of belonging. Your nervous system has to feel that it is safe. And when it is safe with the neighbor, it is safe with the unknown person that the media is portraying. So then what happens is there's a total ecosystem transformation happening here. So what will the future wealth? As low dependency. Wealth will be redefined as freedom from unnecessary dependence on stimulation, validation that we want all the time, and that fragmentation. So true wealth feels like simplicity, sufficiency, and inner steadiness. Then that place of the future health as a coherence. Health will be understood as nervous system's coherence, the ability to sleep, ability to rest, ability to digest, ability to recover without overwhelm. And there's a rhythm in this. Even there is medication in it, you are not just simply leaving it, but you are also doing your work. So it's coherently working the rhythms to allow that medicine to heal. So healing has become re-entry into the life then. It's not an identity or endless project. It will be visible in ordinary participation. People will see you, whether it's working, whether it's loving, resting, sharing without self-abandonment. They can see this. Now, when you come into this realization on the essence of the practice, crown of the head onto the floor, lifting up the buttocks just to activate the pituitary and the pineal energy, and relax back onto the third eye. Then very gently waking up the spine, one vertebra at a time, into the space of Vajrasana, one vertebra at a time. Now, give a good stretch to the neck onto both sides if it needs alignment. Now very gently stretch the feet into the front. Shake the legs, shake the arms, release any tension. Now very gently, sole of the feet together, knees wide apart, and very gently moving into that space of knees lift up and drop a little bit more. And softening that space. Then under the ankles, you're locking onto the toes and walking the bum back and coming into the Kumarasana to the tortoise. So it's a lot of inner work today. So let the tortoise represent. And if the tortoise is too hard for you to drop into the heel of the forehead, you can keep a block or a blanket there so that gently it relaxes into that space. So this time I want you to understand standing together in this practice in that space of our topic as the long arc is to move slowly enough to remain human. It is to care for the body. Now there is a new addition I have brought. It's not just care for the mind and the body, but it is the care for the nervous system and the bonds between us. Knowing that what we embody today becomes your inheritance for tomorrow. A lot of people are waiting into different space of inheritance, but the embodiment of this practice becomes your tomorrow's inheritance. Now very gently coming back, shoulders roll back, opening up that chest, elevate the space of the heart. Now keep in that pose and bring the knees to the chest. Breathing in, arms raise onto the crown. Breath out, knees to the chest. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Now, if you are in the front of the mat, it's okay. If not, just come into the front of the mat and very gently roll back knees to the chest. And then you use the pelvic floor to rock the spine into the front and into the back. This allows you to release the tension of the lower back to the upper back few more times, but allow the energy to come from the pelvic floor. Now very gently hold onto the knees and lie down onto the floor and drop the knees to the right side. Arms stretch, shoulders stretch onto the floor. Observe the gravity. This very moment overlooking onto the left side. So if you come into this practice now, you understand the future belongs to those who remain embodied, relational and present. This is not actually regression, but evolution through remembrance. Let these be part of that space. Your DNA can actually recover, restore things, not just that came from parents, but much more. Because it can repair when your nervous system is on that space of realization. Back into the center, onto the other side, or looking onto the right side. This is a time that really, what do I really want to let go this year? What are the things that I'm going to travel light to the next year? That lightness comes not so much by materially you're removing something, but in a realization so that your nervous system is not carrying it no longer. It's not the opposite, it is the realization. So ask yourself that what you incorporate into the future health, future healing, and ways from the trauma to the belonging, and create a capacity that gives you beyond the identity, back into the center, knees to the chest. Now tuck the tailbone under and lift up the spine one vertebra at a time into a gentle bridge. Now you can come down on the out breath one vertebra at a time. And can you make sure that you do about 4 to 5 of the bridge to strengthen that shape of the spine, regulate that system very gently, the movement very gently, and very gently bringing the long arc, the philosophy for the years ahead, not just by recognition, but also the ability to sense of the deeper patterns shaping the future of your wealth, future of your health, future of your healing. As we all know, as the life accelerates, the complexity increases. So we have to understand the intelligence alone will no longer give you sufficient. The ability to regulate your nervous system will be quietly become the most decisive human capacity. Now, very gently bring the knees to the chest and lock onto the toes. Great. Lock onto the toes and push keep the feet flat and push the knees under the armpit. You can roll side to side to see whether there's anything that on the nervous system that is interference. Whether it's interference with the world, it takes a course on the body. Whether it's interference with your past, there's a problem. Interference with your health, wealth, interference. It's totally different from consciously looking at it. Because your every perception, decision, relationships, everything passes through the nervous system first. Now very gently bring those knees and grab those knees and get your forehead on out breath onto those knees. And release out with the out breath something that you no longer want to carry into the next year. Now relax and rock the spine and come into a seating posture. Twist the spine to the right. Back to the center. And change the leg formation and twist the spine to the other side. Back to the center. Couple more breaths to enjoy the space that you have come into that realization. The calm will outperform the cleverness. Of course, when you have a very strong mind, you are clever, but that clever is not that healthy for you without the calm. So practice in this very moment is you are remaining in the present, and the pressure will naturally become the anchor for your health to recover, for your wealth to recover, for your healing, your future, your stability. Well, we did a rigorous philosophical reflection on what will matter most in the coming years. The practice was not as a prediction, but as a recognition, a sensing of the deeper patterns as shaping now is the future wealth, future health, future healing. On all levels, when you come into this realization, arms raised onto the crown, cleanse the space and the aura. Palms onto the crown, closing on the long arc. The future belongs to those who remains embodied, relational, and present into the third eye, throat. This is not a regression. Heart, evolution through the remembrance, solar plexus, navel, and Muladhara. Grounding back into that space. Arms raised onto the crown, palms onto the Namaskar position. And we are very gently coming into that space of knowing that what we embody today becomes the inheritance of the next moment. That means tomorrow. Namaste. Namaste. Wow. Well, I can see you. Hello, Maria and Sage and all. Papi Sylvia. Now, thank you so very much for being there with me for all these years. Relationships are very important. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for looking after us and the community. Thank you, Sylvia, for the same, and Maria for the same, and the Liz for the same, and Daz, Rebecca, and Darcy, and Daza, and also the Daza here. Thank you for all. Love you all. Big hugs for you all. Beautiful New Year to you all. Love you all very much.